Not all of the teams that were here made it through the bracket yesterday, and by the end of today, we're going to know every single team that will be going to BlizzCon. I could not be more excited to be joined by this desk right now. You know, we were talking about how RMD might be kind of strong in the tournament. Well, there's a pretty good RMD up here on the desk. Before we talk about that, though, we should actually talk about what these players are playing for. We got those 2 BlizzCon qualifications. It's going to go to first and second place, but also $100,000 in prizing, $50,000. The King's share goes to first place. But let's actually talk about that tournament a little bit and what they have been playing. RMD definitely has been one of the things that's been on our mind, but we've seen some other stuff as well, Pika, that definitely caught us on the desk off guard.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of kind of stuff that I don't think any of us were really expecting anyway, such as Wildcard Gaming leading with the Monk, Warrior, Mage composition and having incredible success with it, taking out comps that people thought were like, okay, if you're not playing this, then there's no point to even show up. But clearly they showed something differently there.
Yeah, I think DK was one of the things that we were talking about quite a bit, but then all of a sudden Looney and Blizzo were just like, yeah, whatever, we'll just play what we like to play. And that kind of started the whole discussion for us, as the idea of, can you just be really good at one class? Can you start to buckle down on that at this point in the expansion? And when we look on the bracket, we're definitely going to see some of those ideas echoed. Now, what teams are you the most surprised about on the bracket right now, Healing Stat?
Certainly for me, Wildcard Gaming. I mean, we heard about the Destruction Warlocks, the Frost Death Knights, and the Rogue Mage Druids. Wildcard Gaming haven't played any of those compositions, and you can see them in the upper finals. They've locked themselves in for BlizzCon, which, I mean, from talking to the team, they were even surprised. They completely counted themselves out. They thought they were all in on Method Black doing well to get them through to BlizzCon. Clearly not needed. In the lower side of the bracket, I'm very excited to see both M2KC today and Method Orange. I think those are 2 teams I'm really watching, because ultimately they're in it for themselves now. If they don't perform, they will not go to BlizzCon.
Yeah, you said it perfectly. And when we look right now in the order we're going to be starting things, we get to look at them first as well. These first 2 matchups, Venruki, are really going to be crucial to who potentially goes to BlizzCon. I actually bumped into Chan last night in the hotel, and I was like, yeah, who are you playing in the morning? And he was like, oh, we're going up against Jamili's team. And I was like, wait, if you win this one, they're not going to BlizzCon, you're going to win. He goes, sure do hope so. When we look at this matchup, we know that road can end here for the Mew Mew Kitty Cats after a pretty incredible season.
Yeah, I mean, Mew Mew Kitty Cats, I think they had a pretty slow start yesterday, but you could really see them really heating up and playing aggressive, which is what we know this team for. For Cloud9, they've been really kind of reliant on that Mage Lock Druid. Obviously, that's sort of their patented shot, or the patented composition, and they did a pretty good job with it yesterday. Unfortunately, it feels like that composition alone isn't going to be enough for them to really pull all the way through, and they might have to actually implement Snutzy here today, and that's what I'm looking forward to seeing.
I actually didn't even realize this until production mentioned it to me this morning. If Snutzy plays in this is the first land that we see Snutzy. It would be the first
Yeah, it's crazy,
game.
right? Considering how much impact he has on the team.
It's actually mind-boggling to actually get a little bit more input as well as to what is going on. We're going to throw it down to the floor and talk to Aya.
Hey, you guys, I was just catching up with Gorecki backstage and asked him on his thoughts of why he thought that Cloud9 stuck with that MLD comp yesterday against Method Black. And he told me that Method Black actually wasn't practicing the mirror against C9, so they didn't get enough mirror practice. And he thought, yeah, like they just weren't going to win it. That's why they stuck with it. I also spoke with RoCub, and he said, you know, I asked him how he was doing after that game one, or that series 1 loss, and then they won their second series, and he was like, yep, we're back, baby. So Rich, take it away.
Definitely a lot of stuff that we need to be keeping on our mind right now when we are looking at all of that. And also, are we going to see Snutzy? I think that's one of the biggest questions going into this series. And also, we need to start thinking about what compositions we are going to be seeing. We've talked about that meta, but when we look at Cloud9, I think we've definitely seen what they've started to be comfortable with. We talk about Snutzy, but we need to talk about Chan. This guy is an absolute freak on land, and every time that you can get him into a game, I feel like you do.
See, I think here this might be the one situation where we might not be seeing channels come out here. I think Cloud9 knows M2KC. They've gone back and forth against each other for many years now, and they know that the main composition that M2KC can bring is that Fire Mage RM PAL. And apparently from what everyone's saying here is that RMD should actually win that matchup versus them. So I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe an RMD from Cloud9 here.
I do want to bring up kind of what we saw yesterday as well. Wealthy Man trying to experiment a little bit with fire. I think it went pretty bad. I think it was a failed experiment, but I still think it was one that was probably pretty valuable to get out of the way last night, Fenrique.
I think it's something that they could actually still implement. I don't mind the Fire Mage. I got to be honest, I don't think they played the matchup as well as they really could. I think with a little bit of strategy change, that's something that could work out for them, but I really doubt we're going to see the Fire Mage. Doesn't look like they're as practiced on it. I think it's more likely we see the Rogue Mage Druid, or maybe even something like the Rogue Lock Druid, the Warrior Warlock Druid, which we've seen from Cloud9 in the past.
Well, the time for speculating has already come to an end. We're going to kick off this final day of the LAN here. We're going to be figuring out which teams are going to BlizzCon. This is going to be one of the last chances that we are potentially going to see for the Mew Mew Kitty Cats as the gates are about to open.
Yep, there you go, right on the money, Fenrique. We've got the Warlock and the Rogue. So this is the first time we've seen this composition play out at the summer finals. Chanamore and Snutz, of course, would be the players to play it. We were actually having some conversations last night. You know, what can Cloud9 play? Of course, they're a little bit less practiced in the Rogue Mage mirrors, and when they have played Rogue Mage Druid into M2KC, they have lost on the whole. So we were questioning comps like the double Destro being something that they've had success with in the past. Maybe that could have been an option. Maybe something we might see later in the series, but I'm pretty happy to see this as a starting pick. Chanimal, of course, as you guys were saying, you want to have him in as many games as possible. This guy is so insanely good in the live environment, and with Snutz, this is going to be a dangerous comp.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question about it. We'll have to see, though. M2KC with the Assassination Fire Mage, they've been able to run all over Warlocks. Chanimal, is it going to be a similar fate for him? We'll have to see what Snutz and Cubsy can do to really back him up. Rubcup taking a bunch of damage early on into a kidney shot. Is this going to be an early Divine Shield? Jamili coming back, trying to peel for him the best he can. A follow-up bash from Cubsy. Rubcup barely holding on. He needs to be able to hold on to the Divine Shield. That was a really close call, but finally behind the pillar, Snutz is just going to be targeting him down, and I'm really surprised at this damage.
Yeah, I mean, this was the Vendetta. There's surely going to be the Divine Shield. They actually diminishing return on the stun. Chanimal with a rare mistake there, the triple DR Shadow Fury. They might still force the Divine Shield. He's so low on health. This is very brave from Rubcup. He's risking it all, but he does end up using that significant immunity cooldown, and this is something that's actually been a weakness for Holy Paladins for a very long time. We saw it yesterday. Trill
He's still low.
Demon Hunter.
He's still in trouble.
Now Rubcup is in the same situation.
He's in so much trouble.
Shot, and he does go down. Cloud9 abusing Rubcup on that Paladin and get a quick victory in game one.
What?
Wow, what? That was really quick.
I've never seen Rubcup under that much pressure for that long. That was
Jaw's face.
I've never seen Jamili so quiet for that long.
well, I mean, we haven't seen Snutz play in a while. We haven't seen Snutz on land, but he gets as loud as anyone, believe me. And you put Chanimal, Snutz, Cubsy on the same roster, I mean, he's a good person you want to tag into a match like that. And I can't believe the damage they were able to put out.
Oh my goodness. I was actually looking at Chan for quite a bit there too, because I thought he didn't even pop Dark Soul for a second there, which means that they would have so much more pressure. But how were they able to get all of this pressure going on Rubcup?
Man, Cloud9 just got on top of Rubcup, and he doing everything he can. He faked a couple kicks here that were really well, but he was never able to actually top himself back above 10%, so he was forced to use that bubble out there. But when he bubbled, he couldn't even get anywhere. He basically moved 5 feet away, and then right now Chanimal is literally right next to him. Snutz is still right there, instantly gets the full Garrote into the full kidney shot, and at this point, he's got no cooldowns left. There's no way he's living here.
I think there's a false sense of security for Rubcup. He popped his Battle Master's trinket,
it fell.
And it was during Divine Shield, so he got himself to like 60% health. He was feeling, pretty chill at that point, but after his bubble faded, his Battle Master faded, and he took about 20-30% of his health and damage, and that's when the Garrote kidney shot came in, and that was unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, seeing Warlocks in general was something that we didn't really expect to see at all, and they're putting on a show for us here. Do you think that pressure like that's repeatable healing stat?
I actually think this is really smart from Cloud9, and it's actually something that Method Orange did yesterday. That was the point I was kind of making before he died through his bubble, which is something you never really see from the Paladins. When Trill came out on the Demon Hunter, Demon Hunters are actually one of the very few classes in the game that can solo pressure a Holy Paladin, right? Like, Holy Paladins have a lot of instantaneous, very efficient healing, so typically they're harder to kill, but Demon Hunters are very good at it. We saw Trill abusing Mimpoike a little bit yesterday in that series, and here today, Rogue Destruction Warlock's one of the most scary compositions to play against as a healer, because you've got the Mortal Coil, which isn't on the stun DR, but effectively works as a stun. That combined with Fears, the Spell Lock, it's a lot for Rubcup to deal with, and I mean, Rubcup has been one of the best Paladins, maybe the best Paladin the whole year, so for him to die that quickly really speaks testament to Cloud9 on this comp.
Yeah, actually, just such a crazy start to the day. I feel like usually at this point of the show, whether or not it's a Sunday or not, I feel like we're usually not even done the show intro, and we already have one game in the books. It's going to Cloud9, and keep in mind what the stakes are here, folks. This is just a standard best of 5. If Cloud9's able to come out here with the 3-0, Mew Kitty Cats are not going to BlizzCon. They have to make it at least to the grand final if they do want to be going there. So if they win this, their road definitely not done. It's going to be quite a slog if they actually do want to make it all the way to the biggest tournament of the year. But they definitely need to get something going very quickly. I feel like Cloud9 at this point really not going to need to mess with too much, Pika. I feel like they could probably just bring this composition again.
Yeah, no, I think that was definitely a first game of the day warm-up there is what it looked like. I think they weren't really exactly sure what to do going in there. M2KC kind of, I think the positioning was very lackluster there. I think Rubcub got caught out in places that usually you never see him able to be sat on that easily, and Chanimal able to free cast on it without even moving, which is something that should never happen. And I think the start from M2KC, just they didn't really get any opening pressure there. It seemed like they were basically just put on the back foot within the first few seconds of the gate opening, which I think is something they're not used to. And it seems like when something like that happens to them, they really kind of struggle trying to bring it back.
You know, you talk about this being a warm-up game. I feel like this has been a warm-up tournament so far for the Mew Kitty Cats. They have looked nothing but flat, in my opinion, so far, Venricky.
Well, like I said, they had a slow start yesterday where they really didn't look like themselves when they were playing against Wildcard Gaming, but the series after that, they did kind of heat up. They had a lot more pressure, a lot more momentum, and like, you know, Peekaboo kind of said, it is important for M2KC to be the team that is pushing the pace. If a team, I think one of the main things that happens to M2KC, if they're on the back foot, they kind of just stay on the back foot. It's hard for them to recover. They're normally in that situation where they're going for the aggressive crowd control. The other team is sort of responsive defensively in terms of their offensive push, and I think that's one thing they've kind of struggled with, is if a team out-aggresses them, they really fumble.
And, you know, let's say it took them one series to heat up yesterday. That's not a luxury that they're going to have today, starting things off in the lower side of the bracket, facing elimination here. Cloud9 looking to get themselves a match point.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, if this has been their heating up phase, they really need to catch fire soon, because, the Kitty Cats, maybe they started with 9 lives. They've got 2 left in this tournament. 2 losses, of course, would eliminate them here, but also for BlizzCon. And after such a good summer season, M2KC will certainly want to go out with a little bit more shebang, I suppose, the Jamili way. Big damage, big offense. Let's see what he can get done here. He's going to have to get over to Cubsy, get that crowd control rolling, because M2KC yesterday, the biggest mistake that we said from them is they just got overly defensive. We want to see them playing aggressive. They're all-in auxiliary play. The blind comes out as they initiate the play.
Yeah, Dragon's Breath Sheep onto Snuts. Cubsy gets caught into a blind. He trinkets out. Unfortunately, no follow-up crowd control. Now Cubsy should be able to keep Chanimal alive, and it looks like Cloud9, they're going to be going after Rubcub once again. They really don't want him to play aggressive in this match, so if they can keep pressuring him down, keep him in kidney shots, he's not going to be able to get out nearly as much damage. And once again, he's taking a tremendous amount of damage. The Battle Masters comes in, but he's still rotting down lower and lower, and Snuts can stay on target. It's going to be scary for Rubcub. Snuts actually blinding him up, not allowing him to recover his hit points. If he can get the sap and follow it up with a stun, I think it's going to be the Divine Shield of Rubcub.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone was questioning Snuts on the Rogue, this might be his first time on LAN this year. He's looking outstanding so far. Killing Rubcub early game 1, now the blind reset on the melee wings, meaning that Rubcub's not got full health for this kidney shot stun lock. He used the human racial out of that, I do believe, so he's still got the Divine Shield, but other than that, he's very low on defensive cooldowns. Divine Favor still not topping himself. Cubsy, meanwhile, caught up in crowd control. Chanimal definitely being attacked a fair bit better by Roasties here. You can see Rubcub mostly able to line of sight him, though interestingly actually standing in line of sight, exposing himself to the coil into the kidney shot. I feel like this is uncharacteristic from Rubcub. He should be line of sighting this Destruction Warlock for sure.
At some point, though, he has to expose his positioning in order to get the crowd control on Cubsy. If he was pushing in for Hammer Justice, I feel like that's what Cubsy's doing a great job of. Right now, he's actually, I think he's trying to position to get out of combat and go for a drink. I just don't know if he's going to be able to at this point in the game. He's used a lot of mana. M2KC does have a mana lead, and that's big. And I feel like for Cloud9 at this point, if Rubcub continues to play this well defensively, he's actually pushing in, and this was where they really need to pressure him. Hammer of Justice lands on Cubsy. Chanimal in a lot of trouble, but the preemptive Ironbark might be able to keep him alive. Jamili going for crowd control. Kidney shot on Rubcub. Snuts trying to generate some counter pressure. Divine Favor comes in. Rubcub might be able to stabilize here, but Chanimal can get off any damage. It's looking like it could be Rubcub's life, or certainly his Divine Shield.
Yeah, it certainly could be, and we can see the Mortal Coil. It's actually on the UI now, so Chanimal using that to stay alive. Very nicely done by him. Cubsy actually went for a big drink, and they almost got punished for it, but now, of course, his trinkets rotated back up. There's still the unending resolve on Chanimal, so defense for Cloud9's looking great. Offense also, they're looking for that Divine Shield once again. DR Mighty Bash coming in. It's the wall, but it's maybe going to be the Divine Shield. The Avenging Crusader is putting out a lot of heals. Chaos Ball comes in and will force out that significant defensive. Once again, these Chaos Balls shouldn't be possible from Chanimal, but he always finds a way.
He always finds a way, and with that Chaos Bolt, it is the Divine Shield, and Snutz still just all over this Holy Paladin. Rubcub, he's normally the Paladin that can push in. He can get aggressive, but Snutz, Chanimal, Cubsy, they're really punishing him, and as a result, M2KC hasn't been able to find the crowd control we normally see. Jamili forced to play defensive, peel off Snutz instead of get those polymorphs onto Cubsy, and I think Cubsy, once again, he's in stealth. He's trying to sneak away, and if he can recover his mana, things are going to be looking really good for Cloud9.
I wonder if this is something that people are going to start picking up on the ladder, because the Paladin really can be a weakness. You know, the Rogue and the Mage, very tanky. The Paladin often initiates the crowd control chain with the Hammer of Justice. Just attacking him seems to shut down M2KC so hard, and given the prominence of this composition on the ladder right now, it might be something that a lot of people at home can take away from the tournament. Rubcub is starting to fall behind on mana. Jamili uses his Ice Block to keep himself in the fight. Maybe they're even going to have to swap targets here, because, I mean, they're just losing this game right now. This matchup looks completely one-sided. A full kidney shot. Rubcub has no breakers. It's the Infernals. It's the Shadow Fury. It's Chanimal.
Oh, Rubcub! What are you going to do? Big Holy Light comes in. He does manage to stabilize. He's behind the pillar with his Blessing of Freedom. Snutz, Chanimal, they're all trying to get on top of him, but this is massive damage from the Infernals. Avenging Wrath finally getting off cooldown. If Rubcub can't top here, I don't think he's ever going to top himself. Hammer of Justice on Snutz in complete desperation, but this damage is insane. Battle Masters fades. Rubcub still in a lot of trouble. Jamili has to come back, try to get some peels going, but if Jamili and Rosties are focusing on Snutz, Chanimal going to be in a prime position to really get some damage rolling, and that's a scary prospect for M2KC.
Yeah, they need to start swapping it up, and they are. They're going for Cubsy here. Snutz also uses evasion offensively on the melee wings. Look at his defensive arsenal right now. No cloak, no vanish, no evasion. Could be a swap target. M2KC going after Cubsy. Meanwhile, they have the blind for the trinket. If they could potentially bait out that cooldown, they could go for a kill on either one of the targets. I think the kill on Chanimal is abandoned at this point. Blessing of Protection, last line of defense. The Purge from the Fell Hunter, unable to find that, meaning that Rubcub should be able to free cast a few heals here in the back line, and they are actually swapping over to Snutz now. They forced the feint. Cloak of Shadows is the only rotated cooldown. A blind on Cubsy into a Hammer of Justice could be the game. They're going for the bomb play right now. Is it enough damage? It looks like it might be.
Ooh, Gladiator Safeguard procs, and that's enough to keep Snutz alive. Still has the Cloak of Shadows, but he also has the Vendetta and Smoke Bomb, so there's a big offensive push available for Cloud9. However, that was a nice setup there by M2KC with the Smoke Bomb. Snutz didn't have his trinket, and they were able to get a lot of pressure because of it, but it just wasn't enough. At 5% dampening, Rubcub is almost completely tapped on mana. Cubsy at some point was able to go drink, and right now, Cloud9, they're in a prime position to go up 2-0 in this match.
And they're doing such a good job with the positioning. Look at it from this aerial view. Chanimal constantly being line of sighted by Rubcub. They don't need to attack him. He's very immobile. Anyone should be able to line of sight on the small map. This is why M2KC goes for this map play. We can see the crowd control chain is endless. 20 seconds on the Divine Shield. Avenging Crusader comes up. Is it going to be enough healing for Rubcub? He needs this healing to survive till that immunity cooldown. They're going for the counter kills. The Hammer of Justice. Can they land the Ring of Frost? No. Chanimal once again all over Jamili. Fear after fear. The Mage cannot land the crowd control. Snutz still low. The Cloak of Shadows. 10% health. It's the Iron Bark as well. So many defensives overlap. They're so close to the kill.
Ooh, Snutz a little bit greedy in that situation. He really wanted to take down Rubcub, but it almost cost Cloud9 the match. Luckily, he got the Cloak of Shadows off. He still has the evasion, but Snutz a very vulnerable target right now. This is a really nice adaptation from M2KC. Jamili with his combustion. He's going to be a big threat. Dragon's Breath on Cubsy. Snutz could easily fall. The evasion comes in, as well as the Crimson Vial. He's kiting around, really trying to use this Efflorescence for the additional healing. Kitty Shot now onto Rosties as Cloud9 mix it up. Smoke Bomb coming in as well. Can they take down Rosties? Does have the Vanish. If he needs it, he can use that to escape and survive, but both teams making adaptations in the game.
Yeah, certainly since M2KC swapped over to Snutz, I feel like the game has been so much better for them. Of course, Snutz being snared means that Rubcub can actually kite away with the Hand of Freedom, and that is actually keeping them in the fight. Considering how close they were to dead about 2-3 minutes ago, it's pretty incredible they're still in this one. So Snutz definitely going to be the new kill target. Potentially a swap over to Cubsy. You can see Vendetta is available. He has no trinket. Those are the sorts of win conditions M2KC are looking at right now. But honestly, I think if they just tunnel Snutz, they could potentially win this one on mana. Maybe a swap over to Chanimals. Rubcub has the Divine Shield and the Hand of Sacrifice, so he can keep his team in the fight for a fair bit longer. Cubsy once again sitting down. I'm not sure, he doesn't quite get the full mana, but certainly it's going to help. 20% dampening. This game real soon. The Hand of Sacrifice didn't save him, and Roasties goes down.
What a way for that one to end. Ultimately, you're in a situation there where Rubcub just had to play the hardest game of his life. All of a sudden, you're in dampening. It was just, it felt like the fastest game ever, but it still manages to go pretty long. How is Rubcub even able to shirk off some of that initial pressure?
I think just Rubcub is doing he's doing everything he can to try to survive and stall the game out for his team, but I just think the strategy of M2KC of just sitting on Chanimal for the first, half of the game, it's so difficult for Rubcub to ever do anything because Snutz is all over him. 100% uptime, kidney shot on cooldown, landing those kicks. And I think once we saw M2KC try to start to, maybe train Snutz or swap to Cubsy, something to just kind of get off a Chanimal, things started going way better for him. So, but unfortunately, I think this was just too little too late, and Roasties got caught in that full kidney shot with a Vendetta from Snutz, and there's no cooldowns from Rubcub to actually save him. The only thing that could have possibly saved him is if he had the ultimate sacrifice or a Blessing of Protection right there, but nothing was left at this point.
Yeah, some dude 1974 in chat said, boom goes the dynamite, and I actually couldn't agree more. That was really how that one did close out, and I feel like one of the things that started to happen, Healing Sat called it out so much during the cast, the idea of just everybody started adapting. You start changing your targets, and you start looking at those defensive cooldowns that actually exist on the side of Mew Mew Kitty Cats, and you're like, wait, Rubcub maybe has a little bit of gas in the tank, but ultimately everybody else is somewhat tapped. You see Vendetta about to come off cooldown, and Venrookie, how did those swaps actually end up affecting the game?
Well, early on, like Peekaboo said, it was all about Snutz just sitting on Rubcub, trying to generate as much pressure as possible. But the thing is, Rubcub is going to struggle eventually with that. All the kidney shots, the interrupts, the amount of damage an Assassination Rogue can really put out with 100% uptime is difficult for Rubcub. So Jamili and Roasties, they had to come back. They had to try to peel and go after Snutz. And as a result, Snutz didn't really have the freedom to just sit on Rubcub anymore. So all of a sudden, Cloud9, they have to make an adaptation. Who are we going to go after? We saw a couple kidney shots committed over onto Jamili, still some decent pressure on Rubcub, but overall it was Roasties that fell, because for Snutz it's going to be easier to hit him than Rubcub running around the pillar with freedom while he's being attacked by Roasties, who's shutting him down.
Some of those adaptations pop up in the middle of the game, but the result is still the same. We find ourselves on match point. Are the Mew Mew Kitty Cats going to be eliminated when we return?
Snutz adds so much to C9. He adds flexibility and he adds brain.
He's a multi-talent that's capable of picking up probably anything in the game, really.
He can basically pick up anything he wants and play it at a really high level.
He's just kind of opened it up. They gave him Rogue Mage, which is a big thing. I think he's such a capable multi-classer too. He just can play whatever, so whatever is the best at the time, he can provide that, which is such a huge thing nowadays.
I think Snutz is really important to Cloud9. He's really consistent.
I think Snutz is just one of the best players ever to play. So if he's joining any team, it's going to be really useful.
And I've always said that he's potentially he's in contention definitely for one of the best World of Warcraft players in history.
One time, my cat actually got stuck up in a tree. Snutz climbed up there, brought it down, saved the day.
I was there.
Yeah, you were there. One time, I was running around. I was mining copper, and Snutz was already on the node. And I walked up to him. I hit him with those gnome puppy dog eyes. He backed off, and he showed me how to hold the pick. He put his arms around mine, and we hit that node together. He's such an incredible dude. I actually think it is really important to talk about Snutz, not only in this tournament and what he's able to do, but kind of his career as a whole. And Venrookie, I think you're definitely a perfect person to talk about this, because it changed so much. You look at Snutz back in the day, and he's one of the best at playing one class. He is so good at it, and that's when I was watching, right? And I was a Warlock player myself, and it was so fun to actually watch him. And now he can just do everything so well. And it's funny, actually, this is the perfect desk to talk about it, because Venrookie, you can really talk about the beginning of his career, and now we have Pika who can actually talk about different things, like Snutz actually being such a great rogue player.
I mean, there's no question about it, but the thing about Snutz is he's always been a really good multi-classer, and I think a lot of players would agree it was a little bit more difficult to multi-class back in, Wrath of the Lich King and the Burning Crusade, and he was one of those players that could actually do it. When we would do war games, whatever team Snutz was on would just win, regardless of the role or the class he was playing, so you could really tell he had a talent.
Yeah, I mean, moreover as well, the thing is, he's a leader in the team, right? Like, he plays his class, but I mean, even when I'm playing with him or when I was watching him backstage, the guy he'll manipulate what everyone does. Like, he'll tell Cubsy, hey, or he'll ask, like, what cooldowns do we have? Do we have Trinket? Do we have Ironbark? He really does take that leading role in-game, which I think is something that you only need one of that on a team, but there's so few people that fulfill that role to a high level. So someone like Snutz really can be in-game something massive for Cloud9. We're already starting to see that in this series. He is just such a good shot caller. We see games going, 5-10 minutes. Here, he can kill people in 2 minutes. So really a big momentum swing for Cloud9. If they can make this composition work into the Rogue Mage, this could be something that takes them all the way back to that grand final.
Yeah, and it looks like M2KC, they want to be really aggressive here on Chanimal. They do get the Ironbark and the Trinket, but they're allowing Snutz to just sit on Rubcup. Jamili actually coming back, trying to get a polymorph on Snutz, but he gets spell out. Really good backup there by Chanimal, allowing Snutz to maintain his uptime and try to start generating some pressure on Rubcup, because this initial pressure from Cloud9 isn't nearly as high as we saw in the first 2 games.
Yeah, it certainly isn't. It's been a good opener for M2KC. Chanimal dropping low, though now Rubcup actually taking damage. Snutz bombs himself to deny any peels, maybe looking for that Divine Shield early. It's the Avenging Crusader. DL stun comes out. Doesn't look like the Mortal Coil's landed just yet, though it is available. There is the Mortal Coil. Counterspell, the Infernal as well. They're really pushing for this Divine Shield, but they won't find it. Chanimal, meanwhile, low on health. Cubsy doesn't have anything to save him. This could be a quick kill for M2KC off the break. There's the Hammer of Justice. Is there follow-up? There's the Ring of Frost. Is it going to land? It doesn't. He misses the Ring of Frost. Oh no! The Ring of Frost is scuffed by Jamili, and that might cost them the kill.
That is a complete nightmare for M2KC, unfortunately, and now it's Rubcup that's on the back foot. Snutz all over him with the help of Chanimal's Infernal. Big damage. Rubcup with really no cooldowns left. He's trying to fake cast the kick. Snutz is holding on to it, but unfortunately Rubcup does manage to find a heal, and it looks like he should be able to stabilize, but this pressure is just unrelenting from Cloud9. They really have to try to get Snutz off, and finally Jamili comes back, lands a polymorph, and Rubcup's just dying! Divine Shield! While Snutz is in a polymorph, Chanimal from the midfield lands a Shadow Fury that doesn't allow Rubcup to top himself off, and as a result, they get the major defensive cooldown, that Divine Shield.
That was a huge a series of events there for Cloud9. Firstly, they survive by the skin of their teeth, and then they land that Divine Shield. So such a good trade for them. The Divine Shield, of course, the major defensive cooldown for the Paladin. Now he's caught up in midfield once again, Rubcup. He's in line of sight constantly of Chanimal. Maybe he needs to line of sight, but at the same time, he needs to land those Hammer of Justices on Cubsy for their offense. So it's almost an impossible task for the Paladin in this matchup. He's been doing a good job so far. Blessing of Protection is traded out, maybe trying to just force Snutz back, make him a little bit deterred here. The Fell Hunter has also backed off, so they will be able to stabilize for now, but at the cost of one of those last remaining defensive cooldowns. Cubsy, meanwhile, has his Trinket back up, has his Ironbark back up, and as long as he can keep this positioning on the big map, it looks like Cloud9 should be able to win this one.
Yeah, Rosty's actually getting swapped here right now. Snutz and Chanimal turning their attention there. Blind Sap onto Rubcup. Big damage on Roasties. They managed to force out his Cloak of Shadows as well. He's got no Trinket, so Roasty's a vulnerable target. If they get crowd control on Rubcup, he doesn't have any breaks. Keep in mind, he's playing Relentless. So if he gets caught into a Fear or a Bash from Cubsy, any of that crowd control, it's going to stick full with no Divine Shield. And that is when Roasties really is going to be vulnerable if they decide to make a swap on him. So now there's multiple pressure points here in the game for Cloud9.
Yeah, and that's all off of clinical shot calling from Snutz, of course. They could have just kept going after Rubcup, used the blind defensively. I think a lot of teams would have gone for that line, but instead they create those multiple weaknesses. And M2KC, once it looked kind of, there was just one thing they have to worry about. Now there's multiple things suddenly. So Cloud9, once again, showing that top-level play here in Game 3. Potentially M2KC's final game of 2019 here at the Arena World Championship. If they lose this one, they're out. This is the Kitty Cat's last life, and they're trying to use it their best to kill Chanimal. Once again, innovate from Cubsy, keeping him high, stable. That's a good counterspell from Jamili. Combustion gets popped on that. No Ironbark available for a couple of seconds due to that counterspell. Chanimal, therefore, using his Dwarf ratio as Rubcup pushes in. They're trying once again for this Ring of Frost, but a good spell lock will deny.
Yeah, really nicely done. Good shutdowns here by Snutz, by Chanimal. Right now, M2KC, they need to try to find some pressure, but Rubcup gets interrupted. Could be in some trouble. It's actually Roasties who gets swapped to. Kidney shot, smoke bomb. Trinket vanish immediately. Rosys knew what was going on and he wanted no part of it. But still, Rubcup just struggling so much. Avenging Crusader rolling now. Should finally be able to top off his team and get some good counter pressure here on the Chanimal. This is dangerous for Cloud9. Cubsy trying to keep him alive, but once Ironbark fades, if right now M2KC can maintain this pressure, I don't know if Chanimal's going to get topped off.
I can imagine a world where Cubsy isn't as good as he is. If he doesn't pre-Ironbark that bomb, that's game in favor of M2KC. What a stellar play. All 6 of these guys have had a fantastic year, but it's Cloud9 that are getting the better of this exchange. Blind once again forces the trinket from Cubsy. That's going to be perfectly reasonable as Rubcup is very low on cooldowns. The Divine Shield is rotating up shortly, and that's another thing to note about attacking the Paladin. Because they're tunneling down Rubcup, he's actually forced to spec away from the double Divine Steed, which helps the Paladin get that mobility. Snuts dropping a little bit low here, though he does have defensive cooldowns to answer. The Cloak of Shadows, the Vanish, both available. He's running the Relentless, of course. Now Rubcup caught up in a fear. He's caught in midfield. The Kidney Shot snipes him. Chaos Bolts connect. That will force the Divine Shield, and once again, great plays from Cloud9. You know, Rubcup tries to cross for a second, and he gets punished.
Yeah, and that's what they need to do. When Rubcup plays aggressive, you really have to punish it. And I think that's the best strategy against M2KC. You can't just let them be aggressive on you the entire match. However, Cubsy in a full Ring of Frost. Snuts getting swapped to. He's got the Cloak of Shadows and the Vanish. He's just going to trade the Vanish for now. Cheap shot onto Jamili, denying any follow-up crowd control. Nicely done. Doesn't overlap it with the Cloak of Shadows. Really, really important. But he also doesn't want to play too aggressive here on Rubcup. Needs to stay in line of sight of Cubsy, or it's going to be super dangerous for Snuts. Trades out the Hellstone, and right now, M2KC, they're getting a lot of cooldowns from Snuts. Things aren't looking too bad.
Yeah, I definitely think the Assassination Rogue is a good kill target for a Holy Paladin version of Rogue Mage. They just have so much consistent damage. The Kleptomania, of course, you can't Klepto back, so something like the Safeguard will disappear instantly, and that's a pain for Cubsy's mana pool. You can see it. I think he was hovering about 20-30. Maybe he's looking for a drink right now. Kidney Shot, meanwhile, on Rubcup. As Cloud9, one of the things they do best is they always go for those drinks with the counter pressure. Avenging Crusader, last line of defense for Rubcup. Is it going to be enough healing? That Judgment in about 2 seconds here is going to chunk his health up a fair bit if he's able to land it. There you go, the 100% health on the Paladin, but that was the last line of defense outside of the sacrifice, which of course won't save Rubcup. Meanwhile, Snuts taking damage. Ironbark comes out. Both healers low on mana. This is going to be a cutthroat finish.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Snuts is in some trouble. Trades out the Feint. Has his defensive cooldowns, certainly doesn't want to go down without using them. Cubsy right now at around 10% mana. Rubcup has a lead. This is good for M2KC at 15% dampening. They could even make a swap on the Chanimal at around 20% dampening. I think it would be super effective. That's when the Assassination Rogue is really good against the Destruction Warlock, but I think going after Snuts, it's limiting his damage output, and they've had good control on Chanimal. You can tell M2KC, they're really getting warmed up.
Yeah, some of these more tanky classes do become vulnerable in dampening. You can see Jamili also no ice block for a minute. Cloud9 just doing damage, which is honestly the best way to play it as the healing gets reduced deeper into the game.
No ice block
on Rubcup, no ice block on Jamili. He's the kill target right now. Do they have the sap to follow this? No Vanish on Snuts, so they won't be able to land the follow-up, but still, it's good pressure. It's forcing M2KC back, and look at Cubsy going for the drink in the distance.
Yeah, this is the perfect situation. They got the blind, try to go for sap on Rubcup, just making Jamili play defensive, and as a result, Cubsy can sneak away. He can get a drink, and Cloud9, they set that up beautifully. Good strategy adaptation. Cubsy, if he comes back with full mana, this is the best situation Cloud9 could possibly be in. Right now, Chanimal caught into a kitty shot in a smoke bomb. Big damage here from M2KC. Chanimal could be in a lot of trouble. Good crowd control by Jamili. Is there any crowd control in Cubsy? There's the Hammer of Justice, but he got the Ironbark, and that should be enough to keep Chanimal alive. Infernal's dropped down. You can see Chanimal right now, he's kind of buttering up Cubsy for Snuts as he takes a bite for the kidney shot. Rubcup getting low, but a full polymorph snuck in onto Cubsy, and now it's Chanimal in the back foot. He uses the Unending Resolve. He's trying to make it an offensive push. Both teams trading out the defensives, and this is scary.
Yeah, Jamili certainly making up for that Ring of Frost mistake earlier, putting the game on his shoulders a little bit with that polymorph. That was a huge play, momentum swing. It forced all of Cloud9 to retreat and peel, and moreover, now Rubcup is pretty stable. Divine Shield's up in 15 seconds. He will have his immunity to death. If he dies before that, of course, it's going to be heartbreaking, but I think it's unlikely that Snuts will be able to land that. Good peels coming in from Jamili, the Dragon's Breath into the polymorph now. Full counterspell on Cubsy. Jamili all over the map as Chanimal drops low. There's no defense left in the tank. That's a full Hammer of Justice. Cloud9 could drop this one.
Yep, M2KC, they're looking to make the final push here. Cubsy just a few seconds left on Ironbark, but it's Rubcup who could just fall. Full kidney shot from Snutzy. Jamili desperately trying to help keep him alive. And the third Divine Shield in the game. Keep Rubcub in it. He needs to top himself off, though. This is a really scary situation to be in. Snutzy still all over him. 30% dampening. If Cannibal can push in at all, Vendetta gets ripped out, and Rubcub, he is running out of time.
Yeah, certainly a few people have a Vendetta against Jamili, but Snutzy is looking to put the final blade in Rubcub's back here. It's a full kidney shot. M2KC's tournament lifeline, their BlizzCon lifeline, is looking to be extinguished here. He's running for his life for the tournament right now. We've got the Divine Favor. Should be a decent-sized heal. Avenging Crusader proc as well. Very nice timing there for Rubcub, given his mana pool is so low. Evasion from Snutzy. He doesn't want to throw the match. We're at 31% dampening. Absolutely crazy. Both healers completely tapped on mana. Honestly, any of these 6 players could fall.
What an insane game. Roasties, they are really fighting it for it here. M2KC, their tournament life is on the line. They need to win this game. Kidney shot on Channel. They're trying to get the damage rolling, but Roasty's still on the back foot. He has no Cloak of Shadows, just traded out his Banish. He's really vulnerable. Right now, Roasty's, he's looking to punish Snutzy. Snutzy may have overstayed his welcome, but he has the defensive cooldowns to trade if he really needs to. They want to take down Rubcub, but the kidney shot on Snutzy could be the end of the game. Gladiator Safeguard procs as well as the Cloak of Shadows as they make their final push. Chanimal marches forward with the Mortal Coil. Rubcub gets out of line of sight, and he still manages to hold on, Adrian.
Yeah, Snutzy is in an impossible situation. He needs to push in for the final kill, but he hasn't got the Cloak of Shadows. It's going over to Roasties. It's a Hand of Sacrifice, but it's not an ultimate sacrifice, and Chaos Bolts come crashing in. Roasties is going to fall most likely here. He's nothing left in the tank. The Feint, he's walking away, but even Cubsy's going in with the Feral Affinity. Infernals are chasing. 40% dampening. The Avenging Crusader comes out from Rubcub. Maybe a Vision Protection proc, and he actually keeps his team in the fight. Crazy time for that to proc. Kidney shot, Blessing of Protection. Somehow, some way, the Kitty Cats live by their whiskers.
Everything on the line, and you can tell they want it. They're trying to battle it back. Snutzy committed everything offensively. He's super vulnerable, and M2KC, they know it. If they can push in and take down Snutzy, it's going to be a victory, and they'll be able to stay in the tournament, but I don't know if Roasties can afford to. Right now, Chanimal in the midfield, he's denying Rubcub. There's no ability to drink. Look at this pesky Fell Hunter just chasing him down, and as a result, Cloud9, if Cubsy once again can recover his mana, they're going to be in such a good position, but at 42% dampening, at this point, Fire Mage Assassination Row can take down anyone, but it could just be Roasties. Kidney shot, Smoke Bomb, Jamili with the Dragon's Breath in defiance to keep him alive, but the Mortal Coil from Chanimal closes out the series and sends M2KC home.
The fact that they even made it that late into the game is testament as to just how great of a team they really were. But on this day, Cloud9 clearly a cut above. Pika, how were they able to take this 3-0 to start off the day?
That game was ridiculous. Oh my goodness. Cloud9, such an incredible job by just Chanimal and Snutzy, especially that game. Snutzy keeping the pressure on Rubcub the entire time, and eventually when the right time came to kidney shot, someone else who was right there for it. And then Chanimal doing such a great job stopping those polymorphs and Ring of Frost from Jamili, literally single-handedly winning the game for his team by not allowing his healer to be CC'd.
Now, we were talking about Snutzy and the fact that we haven't really gotten much of a chance to see him on land this year at all, and I really do want to hear your opinion. What do you think of him as a rogue this year?
I think that last game was absolutely incredible. There'd be times where M2KC would try to really commit to Snutzy and like maybe a smoke bomb or anything, and he would really pay attention to his Cloak of Shadows cooldown, holding that until the very right time when he wants to go offensive to secure the kill so he can't be peeled.
Now, Cloud9, this is a team that we know that we're going to see at BlizzCon. They carved their road very early. Mew Mew Kitty Cats, no longer Healing Stat, will have that chance.
Yeah, obviously Mew Mew Kitty Cats, they had a fantastic summer season, really fun to watch them play. They've been the unique team, I would say, running this Holy Paladin, Fire Mage, Assassination Rogue version of the Rogue Mage, and they've had a fantastic year doing that. So hats off to them. Obviously at the end, a couple of unlucky moments. That Ring of Frost is obviously going to be one that lingers on Jamili's mind for quite a while, I think, because that probably was the game there. But either way, I think it was more so good plays from Cloud9 to win this series. And I mean, what a team to go out to. Cloud9 have been so good.
You can also find that one mistake and try to basically say that maybe the game goes completely differently there, but I just don't think from the beginning of the series it seemed like a portent of doom for the Mew Mew Kitty Cats. Cloud9 just seemed to have all of the momentum. They seem to have the right game plan as well. Do you think we see them use this strat at all, Venruki, in later games today?
I don't know, this composition, I feel like it's kind of tailored into what M2KC is running right now. They played phenomenally, but I just don't know. Is that same composition going to work against, a mage rogue druid? I'm really not convinced of it at this point. We've seen the matchup play out in the past. I feel like for Cloud9, bringing this composition in, getting Snutz warmed up on the rogue is really, really important, but I think it's going to be a story of Wealthy Man, Cubsy, and Snutz really coming together for that final push.
If I'm Cloud9 right now, all I'm doing is wargaming, thinking, am I going to have that rematch against Method Black? That's definitely not an equation that they have down pat yet, but let's hear how they're feeling after this victory.
Hey, you guys, I'm here with Snutz. Congratulations on that win. You just sent M2KC home. Was there any part of you that expected to 3-0 them?
No, honestly, I think they were probably our hardest matchup next to Method Black and a couple other RMDs in the tournament, but going into today, I thought that we won the first game, we could win the whole entire series.
Now, you played MLD all day yesterday, and you decided to bring out that rogue against the rogue mage. What was behind that decision?
Well, we won the first series yesterday as MLD, and I think that kind of trapped us into thinking that the comp was really good into rogue mage. But we knew against RM Pally, against that team in particular, we've lost them multiple times playing MLD, so we figured let's just try some rogue stuff and got the win.
And finally, it's been a while since we've been able to see you play at a LAN. What's it feel like being back on stage?
It feels really good, especially coming off of 3-0. It feels really good.
All right, well, thank you so much. Good luck. Back to you guys at the desk.
That's got to be a pretty good feeling. You haven't played in a LAN in a little while. You come out, 100% win rate in LAN this year. Not a bad stat to have under your belt. Also, you also have that confidence of knowing that you're going to BlizzCon already, and that's an interesting dynamic that's been happening at this tournament in general. You have some teams that they're playing for the money. They're not playing for qualification, and that's a little bit of pressure off for sure. Now, Cloud9 still going to be the Sharks in the lower side of the bracket, facing elimination all the way through. Method Orange going to be that other lower quarters matchup against a team that I don't think, Adrian, we expected to be in the lower bracket this early.
Yeah, certainly for me, Diabolos were a top 2 team in this tournament, so I'm very, very curious how this next one's going to go against Method Orange. Fun thing for this series is that it's the 2017 BlizzCon champion against the defending 2018 BlizzCon champion, and only one of these teams is even going to have a chance continuing on into this tournament. So this is going to be an all-star matchup, and I know Alec was talking to you a little bit. He's incredibly confident here.
Yeah, he definitely is. He was questioning my prediction of Method Orange making it into the grand final, saying that they've never lost to them in war games and they will not lose to them in the tournament. So only time will tell. Obviously, Diabolos, they're feeling very confident, but we'll have to see how it plays out.
And also, you have to keep in mind that they're coming off of a pretty crushing defeat as well yesterday to end up in the lower side of the bracket. This is going to be a matchup for BlizzCon, and also a matchup of meta versus a composition that we don't necessarily expect to be one of those top meta comps.